Talk about the people that you started to recognize you really connected with. What was that certain size of business?
So in terms of, it's interesting. In terms of employees, it's anywhere from 25 to 30 up to 1,000. Because still at about at 1,000, the CEO, while remaining still surrounded by strong teams, is still approachable.
Mm-hmm.
And the commonality between that and then say the owner of a local HVAC firm, they're still approachable. They're really desperate and looking for help because they know they're at a point where they can either stagnate or grow the organization. At the other end, when it's 900 to 1,000 people, they're profitable, hopefully, and they're very strong, but they know there's always room for improvement. And the common thread between all of these comes back to clarity of messaging and story. Communications is the thread that ties it all together. At the one end, with the big extreme, they're going to have multiple initiatives serving different sectors, and some will be strong, but they're not where they don't align with the vision of, say, what the CEO has for them. So if they're at X hundreds of thousands of dollars in revenue, but they know it could be multiple millions of dollars, what is it going to take to get to that? So we just start talking about that from it's the story you're telling, or it's the story you're inviting people into, or coming back to, you're talking about benefits here and you're just talking about features, but you're not actually engaging the customer. At the other end, they're saying, we've got too many things going on. We need to simplify and streamline it so there is clarity. So when our 2 or 3 CSRs, customer service reps, talk to customers, we're addressing their problems and their needs versus, in an HVAC firm, the favorite story I like to tell is they always talked about, well, we've got these great furnaces and air conditioners. And now they talk about, oh, sorry, we're sad to hear that your hot water tank is leaking. That's probably making you late for appointments. We'll be out there right away so that you don't have to worry about that anymore. Mm-hmm. It's just changing the way the conversation is held. And then all of the touch points that align then with business goals and messaging.
You're talking about there's a transition in a business. They go from short game thinking, I need to make it through next week, I need to make it through this month, to starting to evolve into more of a long, can afford, if you will, the entertainment of long game thinking and planning and implementation. And that seems to be the folks at this StoryBrand messaging really resonates with the most that I've recognized are the folks that are starting to search for a better way to do something. Well, that means they've come to a point and they sat back and thought about, we really need to get our act together online now, and we need to start having a proper expectation of this investment. What is it? So they start researching. They stumble into StoryBrand, or they stumble into your book, or they stumble into my book, and they resonate with that messaging in there. And I've found that the conversations when they're pivoting to how important it is to start investing in the long game stuff, that's where this messaging really can be impactful. It can impact the short game, but there's the leaders that we resonate with, I'm trying to measure what is their tolerance. Do they need to make something happen tomorrow, or do they have the tolerance to go through getting the fundamentals correct and then start building on those fundamentals? Would you when you talk about the size of your companies, that's where they are. They're starting to have a team that they can have an expectation of investing in that long-term planning. No?
They are. And they're looking at not either or, they're looking at and both. Mm-hmm. They're saying we need to make these changes now so we can create some short-term impact. It may not be a profit impact. It may be process improvement change. But long-term, then they're looking at what do we need to be doing now that's going to change the equation in 6 months, 1 year, 2 years, 10 years. Because, you talked through that business cycle earlier, and in an entrepreneurship environment, like if you were to work with an incubator, they would talk about startup, growth phase, mature, and then established. Mm-hmm. And as you age is where you need to start rethinking like a startup. And so there's a cycle that goes on. So maybe it's not the entire business, but if you're getting to the mature phase, you need to start looking at, well, we've created all these methods and processes. Can we productize them? Or are there other opportunities that we have to take what we've already developed and create new revenue streams from them? That's the kind of thinking that takes place. And I've not seen that be any different, whether it's with a for-profit organization at about that size at the lower end, or even a well-run nonprofit, to a global corporation that's really looking for every aspect of the business to be delivering the ultimate value that they can, both for consumers, but also for the profit of the business.